Google Sites works just like Forms and Slides. So if you were to go create your first Google site, you would go to your plus sign in your Google Drive, and then you can go down here to Google Sites. You can also access Google Sites by going to sites.google.com. I just typically go to my Drive first since I'm typically dealing with more than one um, type of Google interface at once. So once you get here, they're going to load kind of a blank template for you. And this is going to be a web page that you're able to publish. In the end, that will be visible on the internet. You can change your theme to look how you want in terms of different color options or fonts. There's not a ton of variety here in terms of what you're able to do, but you can change the image of your header to personalize your site a little bit. You can also change the header type here as well. So you can just have a title if you don't want an image, and it helps create some space as well there. So once you have your header, you can give it a name, and then you can go ahead and start inserting stuff. So if I'm going to make something fairly basic for students where I want them to see a Google slide presentation with the Google form so that they can work through the questions and then insert their answers as they're going, or decode some things depending on how intricate your escape room is. This is why I love Google Sites, because if you go to your insert tab, you can insert, or you can see you can insert a button, a divider. A button literally is like a button to somewhere else. Like if I wanted to go to like page 2 of my website, if you wanted it to be a little bit more fancy, although I don't have anything to insert yet, you can insert more pages. I got ahead of myself there a little bit. So in your website, you can have more than one place to go. So here you can see I've got the home page, and then I have a second page. So when you go to your insert tab, you could have a button on a page to go to another page, and you can link text and images to go to certain places in your website too if you want things to be a little bit more intricate and detailed. But the example that I use most often is I'll go to the Slides tab. It'll pull up my Google Slides, and I can go and just insert a Google slide that I already have. So I select it, plus insert, press insert, and it will show up for me. And then what I typically do then is put a Google form right next to it. Just pick one for the sake of this. And here it loads it below, but I want them to be side by side just to help students. And you can just click on it, hold your cursor down or your mouse down, and then you can pick it up and move it next to the slide presentation. You can also insert like a text box above to put some instructions for your students. If you wanted to have some help videos down below, you can go down here and go to YouTube and put in your YouTube link, and it will also and then here's some things I have uploaded. So like if I wanted to use this video here from my Google Drive, I could insert that below. And again, if you want to add in some text, go back up to the beginning and you can put those text box links in there. You can also see you can insert an image, you can embed other content from the internet in your site as well. And everything is just, you click and drag. So if I wanted to move this text, let's say underneath instead of above that, I can just pick it up and drag it underneath the content that I had here if I wanted to do that instead. And over here you can change the section background, you can duplicate a section, and you can also delete a section if you don't want it. And the other thing I use just to kind of help space things out is I will use this divider every once in a while to put in between things to show that there's kind of a new section coming up. So that's a little bit about how I use it. Oh, I guess I didn't touch on one last thing here, the layout section. This is another nice section. Everything's kind of nice and formatted for you here. So if you had 2 YouTube videos or 2 Google Slides presentations that you wanted, and then to add some text already here. So these are nice in that that content is already laid out in a visually appealing way for you. Once you have your page laid out the way that you want, you can go ahead and give your Google site a name. So I'll just keep it as test site for the sake of this. You can preview your site to make sure that everything works the way that you want. So here I can see I've got my Google Slides up and running, my form, my YouTube video is there, and then I didn't really put in any other content. I did make that second page. So this is nice that you can preview it before you publish your page and kind of test it out. And then one way that you can really make sure that things are working is if you copy and paste your, after you publish, you'll get a website address or a web address. So it always uses this beginning part of your name for your web address, and then you can just kind of give it whatever title. Sometimes it'll fill it in for you. So if it's going to be like a test review, so I'll just name it like Unit 8 Test. And you can also request that public search engines don't display your site. So if you don't really want other people accessing it, that's a great way to keep it out of Google. And then you can hit publish, and now it will allow you to view your site. And here you can see here's your website up here. So you could use this to share out with your students, post it in the OHS, and that sort of thing. And like I was going to say earlier, once you have your site published, you can copy and paste this somewhere so you don't lose it. And if you log out of your Google account, you can paste it in so you're not signed in, just to make sure everything is working the way that you want. Because like, let's say you forgot to publish your Google Slides presentation. Well, if you're not signed in, all of that will show for you if there's any other tweaks that need to be made. It's another way to test all of that out.